The Drums of War, Chapter 22, Prisoners. Aboard the Tiger Lily, Acolyte Lord Narek Squin languished in the abysmal cell the barbarians had stowed him within. Not even a single servant, not even a lowly serf attended him, and he was obliged to live in full view of the warrior and guard, except the small sanitary closet. Far too small. Not only could he not swim in the bathing pond, but was forced to wash himself in the running water like a lowly serf. He could hardly bear the humiliation. Worse, he had learned through careful eavesdropping that each and every one of these Terrans, who could not have possibly all originated from the same planet to his understanding, bore names. His captivity was stark truth that these were not false names. The Captain, also known as Roberts, seemed to be the equivalent of an acolyte lord, or maybe a priest lord. The man had condescended to speak to him himself, rather than allow the slow-born to do the task for him. An insult. Still, Acolyte Lord Narek Squin was in no position to quibble about insults. Upon reflection, his shouts to see whatever low-born barbarian commanded the stinking vessel of unworthy serfs had been unwise. Therefore, he had said to the warrior guarding him, "Warrior, I request that the Captain is unburdened by duty, that he come speak with me. I do not require any changes to the cell, but I desire to speak with him, as he impressed me." And he had impressed the Acolyte Lord, quite thoroughly in fact. He hadn't believed that anyone other than Priest Lord Tyglak Pugslur could make him fear for his life. Eventually, Roberts did come. He had some kind of foodstuffs, green and a wedge shape of a plate, and he had some of his ship laborers set up a small folding table for him, and he slowly savoured the foodstuffs without a word. Yet another insult. Acolyte Lord Narek Squin did not dare interrupt. He believed the Captain's threats of inflicting the most dishonourable death possible on him. "And I'm told that you wanted to see me," the Captain, Roberts said coldly once he had finished. "I wish to ask you, if it is permitted, to explain whether my suspicion is true, and if it is, why so." "What do you suspect?" "Are all upon this ship named ones?" "Everyone has a name," the man said as he raised an eyebrow. "If it is permitted, please give an explanation to the cause of this." "When someone is born, their parents named them, obviously." Acolyte Lord Narek Squin stared in disbelief and asked quietly, "Even the serfs?" "There are no serfs."
"No serfs? How?"
"What do you mean, how? We simply do not enslave people."
"How do you gain labor for industry, for agriculture, if the lowly aren't made to do this as they should?"
"There are no lowly."
"Are you not obeyed by these beneath you?"
"My rank is earned by experience and competence at command. My men do as I say, because they trust me to give good orders."
Acolyte Lord Narek Squin was reading. "But what of the agriculture and industry? If none are lowly, who performs the tasks?"
"Those who find value in it,"
Acolyte Lord Narek Squin whispered. "And how do the unworthy escape the altar?"
"We do not allow anyone to be murdered for a god."
"Does your god not punish you if you do not?"
"I don't believe in a god," the Captain said grimly.
Acolyte Lord Narek Squin was too stunned for words.
However, the Captain was not. "Some of my officers, such as my XO and the second watch cob, would likely discuss their religions with you if you should request it, but I am not interested in spiritual discussions."
Acolyte Lord Narek Squin's mind was flooded with questions, but one escaped the press to be said, "There are multiple religions?"
"Yes, of course," Roberts answered, as if it should have been obvious.
Acolyte Lord Narek Squin sank to his cell bed in the depths of thought. He didn't even notice when Roberts left.
Emily loped around in a SAW medtech pattern armor with a case of 32 dynastical pupae on her back. They would be emerging soon, and would be orphans growing up amongst the ruins of the tombs of their parents. Emily comforted herself with the thought that at least they would grow up. She had been out of comms contact for nearly 3 hours, but her HUD told her that she was inching towards the field hospital, now set up in what was probably some kind of arena before the invasion by the Assat Dobans, or whatever they called, as Emily was thinking of their name incorrectly on purpose, and the subsequent counter-invasion by the Republic. She wasn't a demographer, but there had been terribly few adult dynasticals found, and that seemed to bode ill to Emily. She'd overheard her section director talk about the devastation to another director, and it seemed that there wouldn't be enough people left alive and able-bodied to export food at all, which was apparently what this planet used to do. Without a team's work chatter to focus her mind, she found it wandering among such dark thoughts. But still, she loped along towards her goal. Suddenly, Captain Ramirez came through her helmet speakers. "Emily, come in. Say again, Emily, come in."
"Loud and clear, Cap," she signed in relief. "You can stop digging for me. I found another way out, and a pupae case."
"By the saints of angels, we were worried about you, Proby."
"I'm SAR Corps. We do not stop. We do not give up. We're unbreakable."
"Unbreakable," Captain Ramirez said. Her teammates chimed in as well. "Unbreakable." Her HUD updated with her team pips, and they had indeed been digging out the cave in what had separated them, and she was closer to the field hospital as she had thought. "Emily, drop your package at the field hospital and get out armor. You'll be 15 minutes early to run your rounds there, and you can use them how you like."
"Cap, I think I'll just get my rinse off and get started. We're always behind on the non-ambulatory patients."
"There is only so much shuttle space," Dr. Patel said sadly. "Of course Emily is working with every last second. She's thinking of everyone but Emily," Alexei chided, and that got a general chuckle over the comms, and a rise in the temperature inside her helmet. "I'm surprised that you can stand the duty," Juan said sardonically. "I thought the thought of the Exarch made you want to puke."
"Shut up," she snapped back, her helmet getting stuffy all of a sudden. "Those people, they need help like anywhere else. And where's SAR Corps?"
"We do not stop," Juan said. "We do not give up," Alexei continued. "We are unbreakable," they all finished. "Enjoy your chat with Sabuki, oh great giver of names," Juan snickered. "I caught you giving names too." Her team just laughed at her as they got back to work, and Captain Ramirez said, "You started something good, Emily. Those people have been brutalized from the moment they came screaming out of the womb. The ambulatory patients are so damned eager to help from one moment to kindness. Keep up the good work." For some reason, the inside of Emily's helmet was terribly stuffy as she muttered, "Thanks, Cap." One power armor assisted elope later, and she had handed over the case to the logistics techs. Thankfully, the only thing pupae needed was a safe, cool, dry location to mature in, and that didn't require any expertise, just cargo space, which was handy, since the grav trucks had a lot of that available once they dropped off their supplies, and would otherwise return empty since grav trucks weren't suitable for patient transports. Then one trip to the armor stable and rinse in the showers later, and she was walking down the aisle of what was technically a prisoner ward. The prisoners didn't need much in the way of security, though, not after the first few hours anyway. Some of them had been rather vigorous when they regained consciousness and found themselves in unfamiliar surroundings. Otherwise, they seemed to accept their captivity with surprising ease. The fact that their injuries were being treated seemed to go a surprisingly long way to keeping them peaceable. Heaven only knows that Terrans had their own attitudes towards escaping capture, and whether getting medical treatment would pacify any of them. Emily thought that she'd try and escape no matter what. Sabuki had explained that they were all relieved that Emily and her fellow SAR corpsmen didn't sacrifice him to the vengeful goddess Republic. It reminded Emily of when that horrible man had tried to murder a lava in front of the Republican, CIP and Star Sailor ambassadors at first contact. It turned her mouth to ashes to think it over. She kept an encouraging smile on her face as she did her rounds, though, and offered kind words to her patients. "You're taking to the cloned lung quite well, Raoul," she said warmly to the former warrior 04428451. He smiled at the news and answered,
"Oh, great one. The healer master do say I might stand yet in a mere 3 days. Though the food is bland, it gives me strength."
"Hospital food is like that," she said, trying not to wince at the honorific. "You might get a chance to try out tasty cooking eventually."
"Oh, great Nana Emily, I shall show my worth to deserve such honor."
"I'm just a woman," she couldn't resist saying, "a woman doing her duty. I didn't come from the spirit realm."
Raoul tilted his head and answered, "Even so, you give birth to we who should have sated the thirst of Axur, and brought us behind the shield of the vengeful goddess Republic instead."
"The Republic shields all who cannot fight, even people who once fought her," she said to him as she moved on to her next patient. She had variations on that conversation, or else tended to her duties while the patient slept, or lay in silent contemplation until she'd reached the first prisoner that she had named Sabaki.
"Oh, great Nana Emily, I have no complaints," she said as Emily looked over her chart.
"Come on, Sabaki. You know I'm flesh and blood."
"This is so," she said sagely. Yet the worth of you who serve the Republic brings worth to we who you shelter. Only those with great enough worth to die of old age could do such a thing.
Old age? That's optimistic. My duties are dangerous, and people die doing them all the time. 2 teams lost a medtech each a couple days, in cave-in and armor failure.
And you not that you risk your very lives for us, your enemies, Sabaki said with wide eyes.
Why shouldn't we? You need help and it's our duty, Emily said offhandedly. She said as she adjusted Tsubaki's IV settings to start weaning her off painkillers. Then, something startling happened. Tsubaki's voice took on a sound of 2 speaking at once. Lo, the daughter of the goddess Republic doth turn the face of mercy upon the defeated, even as her sons do thrust towards the very heart of Exur. They are her spear, and death become him, as the stars in the real quake and terror. Yet those he counted as his are beyond his reach, behind the shield of the goddess Republic. He thought to wed her, but death comes for her groom. Tsubaki fell to her pillow, unconscious, and Emily ran to fetch a doctor. On the forge world of Ex-Nuva, Pip's entire body ached, in addition to the bruises from the beatings from the overseer, who he had to address only as Initiate Highborn, and never by his name Adad Enlil. The bruises he felt had something to do with that. The long scabs across his daughter's back had more. He seethed in fury at the entire situation, but he knew it was only a matter of time. The Star Council would send someone to rescue him and the rest of the prisoners. Well, more likely they would ask the Republic's assistance in that. Pip had always thought that the Terrans marshaled traditions to be overkill for the only thing you'd need a military for in those days of peace, pirate suppression. He knew better now. Still, Pip's body ached, and he bided his time. He bided his time and worked diligently under the eyes of the instructors, who turned out to be not guards at all, as he had originally thought, but merely higher-ranking slaves, of who Pip thought of as 12, since the poor bastard didn't even have a name, was eager to help Pip and his fellow prisoners adjust to enslaved life. A funny sort, 12, always giving furtive advice on how to avoid the wrath of Abed Ben Null and the other initiate highborn and higher, who could be picked out by the horns growing on their chins, in addition to the bony spikes coming out of their elbows, knees, and knuckles, like the rest of the Exarch. Amazingly, they could drink alcohol like Terrans, and got intoxicated from it like them too. This gave Pip opportunity to pry answers out of 12 that he'd probably be too afraid to share otherwise. "Why don't you just disobey, if you don't like the overseers?" he asked his bleary-eyed superior. "Do you not know those who disobey not only die upon the altar, but die slow, such that Exur, may the stars tremble at his step, may savor the blood and suffering?" 12 slurred. "The ancestors don't demand anything like that." "Those ancestors are your gods?" "In a way," Pip said slowly. "They watch over us, and do us favors if we honor them, and sometimes call us to be heroes when one is needed."
"Where are their favors now? I have sorrow for you, trainee 24120034. For Exur, may the stars tremble at his step, shall surely devour your ancestors."
"My ancestors call me now, and their favors will come if I honor them in this trial. As the Axer, let him choke on that ancestors. Besides, the Republic and the gods of her people will be more than he can handle."
"Do not say such things," 12 hissed. "If the Initiate Highborn hear you, it could mean you upon the altar, or worse, your children."
"I saw the Republican ships drop into real space as the ship that carried us off burned for a minimum jump distance. My planet has been held against your masters, and nothing enrages Republicans quite like slavery and genocide, which your masters are doing," Pip whispered. "You think your people are warriors? The Terrans are war itself."
"Place your hope instead in having great worth, and beg the Nana for the succor when the burdens are heavy,"
12 insisted urgently. "I'm telling you, my people and I will be rescued. Don't you want a name, 12?
"Such hope is not to be dared at," 12 said in a hushed sob,
and Pip was startled to see tears running down 12's cheeks. End of chapter. I'd greatly like to thank our Tier 5 channel members, Casper Arnholtz, John Creighton, Manatharia, 050, Dragzoon WRE, and Elijah Silvercross. Thank you very much.